Back to the original premise. Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed.
Yep.
So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question.
Notice she's not going to say sorry at all, by the way.
There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have
Of course you can't imagine. You don't care. That's why you open the border.
for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is
You admitted it
true.
shouldn't have occurred, but it
It
occurred
is
because
also
of
true
you.
that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the
20
United States
days.
who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election. Because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in
817.
the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungary's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
Yeah, notice
But
she did
let's talk
that.
about
She literally went,
What
I'm so
is
sorry for
happening
her
right
loss.
now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions? Let's talk about that as well.
But do you
Brett,
want to
in-
answer-
in
Look how
all
political
fairness,
she is.
I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down
Needs
at
to
the
be
border
fixed.
talking with border agents.
She sounds like
and
she's
they
whining.
will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk
All right,
about.
pause
But you
that.
frequently talk to the border.
All right. So notice that she does not acknowledge the facts. They opened the border by undoing executive orders that actually made the border secure. Then she uses Congress as a means to justify that she opened the border on purpose because the border is only an immigration problem that Congress must solve. This is the issue that we have with the Progressive Party. It's no longer the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is dead. A lot of Democrats, long life Democrats, have no longer affiliated themselves with the Democrat Party. In fact, some of them, like Tulsi Gabbard, are now Republicans because the Democrat Party is no longer what it used to stand for. It's now extremely progressive to the point that they believe the American people are irrelevant and we should be funding illegal immigration. In fact, I actually looked into a little bit of Kamala Harris's What she did on how to find the root of the problem, that was one of her things as Border Czar, is to find the root of the problem. And she pretty much told private companies and used our taxpayer money to fund programs to better the lives of people in Guatemala, in Honduras. So keep this in mind. This is somebody who literally opened the border, made American lives less safe, while at the same time forcing us to fund other people's countries instead of actually securing our country and using those funds to improve our country. This is not a America First movement. This is an America Last movement. It's all about the illegal immigration, so they don't care about law and order. It's all about a humanitarian crisis, even though they don't agree that you should be doing DNA testing. They remove that into the, I find that within itself should make you question the morale of this administration. Why would you remove DNA testing when you are vetting people into this country? That should be something that it doesn't matter where you are in politics. We should all think that is a requirement to make sure there's no fraud and there's no human trafficking.